Matthew. And this first lady, she does come down from Australia. Everybody say good day, mate. All right, you guys ready to see her? So this is one of the most venomous snakes in the world. No, I'm just kidding. This is a Wolma python. Everybody say Wolma python. With a name like Wolma python, no, it is not Wolma python. This is a Wolma, W-O-M-A python. These guys come down from Australia, since they come up from Australia. It is the land down under, after all. And this is Miss Bindi. Everybody say good morning, Bindi. Good morning. Animal can get up to about 6 foot long, right? Now, entire world. The reason I say that is because if you look at the very base of its tail, question for you guys: where does a snake's tail start? Anybody know? Let's start right behind the neck. How about midway through? It starts all the way down where Matthew actually has his fingers right now, right? So they have a very, very long body, right? And a very short, cute little tail. And oftentimes the boys actually will have a much longer tail than the girls, right? Now, with that being said, a lot of python species actually have almost hip bones still where that is, because these guys are descended from lizards. Snakes are actually younger than lizards when it comes to the evolutionary timeline, right? These guys are super, super cool. The Wolma pythons are one of my favorite snakes to keep. However, I'm really, really happy that Matthew brought out his, because mine, I got all mine for free. You guys want to know why? Mine are very, very mean. So you guys got a treat by seeing Bindi today, but we're going to go ahead and toss her back. I'm going to say bye-bye, Bindi. Yeah, toss her. Just throw her. It's his snake, all right? A little bit more appeasing to some other people in the crowd. Y'all ready to see him? Yeah. So we know what he's saying, skink. It is spelled S-K-I-N-K. This lizard is a type of lizard that you can find pretty much throughout the world. We actually make them here in the state of Texas. And you guys ever seen those little tiny brown lizards that's running? And they almost look like a snake for a split second until you see their tiny little legs? That is another type of skink. However, this is one of the largest versions of the skink. With the name like blue tongue, what color do y'all think his tongue is? You're right, it is pink. So, no, when it comes to his tongue, it is indeed blue. When it comes to that tongue, everybody take one finger just like this and point at him and say, liar. He is a liar, right? In the kind of scientific field, we kind of judge it up just a little bit by saying bluffer, all right? But at the end of the day, this animal is a liar because, as Matthew's about to demonstrate, he can be bitten and eaten without any negative consequences, all right? So you guys ready to see that? So, when it comes to that animal right there, it is non-poisonous. There is a big difference between poison and venom. When it comes to poison, you have to bite it in order to get sick. So if you bite it and get sick, it's poisonous. If it bites you and you get sick, it is venomous. Poison goes down through the mouth. However, what he's going to do is he's going to take a big deep breath in. There we go. Did you get bigger or smaller when you did that? You got bigger, right? He wants to do that to make himself look too big to eat. He's then going to open up his mouth and wiggle his blue tongue back and forth, right? That blue color should tell that hawk, that predator, that he might be poisonous. That hawk's going to think, I remember what happened last time I ate Taco Bell, I'm not going to try to take this guy, right? So, at the end of the day, that is a lie. So if that animal knows that he is not poisonous, he has one final Hail Mary at the very end. You guys see his tail? He can drop that tail. If you guys ever find a lizard out in the wild, it's really, really important to make sure never to touch their tails, never to try to grab their tails or anything like that, because that is some lizards' only form of defense against getting eaten. All right? But we're going to put Mr. Blue Tongue away. I'm going to say bye-bye, Bluey. He's going to come out, and he's really, really friendly. He's actually going to come out and give you guys a nice tight hug, and it is a really, really good hug. A lot of people say it's like the last hug you would ever want, right? Just because it's so comfortable. It is breathtaking, right? But I'm going to get you guys to face the front, and we're going to kind of set this up almost like a blind date. So I'm going to get you guys both to close your eyes and just face the front. All right? And this guy's going to come out. When he does, you guys cannot tell what it is. All right, y'all ready? All right, we're going to bring him out now. So this right here is Gloria. Everybody say hello, Gloria. Gloria is what we call a boa constrictor. With a name like boa constrictor, we also know this is a non-venomous animal. And with it being a non-venomous animal, these guys are in no danger. This animal is what we call semi-arboreal, which means it does spend a lot of time on the ground, but as it gets older and a little bit, sometimes a little younger, it'll spend some time up in the trees as well. Now, up in the trees or down on the ground, they're going to be hunting a variety of different animals. They're going to hunt things like rats, squirrels, iguanas, all that fun stuff. But up in the trees is where they specialize in hunting something called a bird. You guys know what a bird is? Okay, good. I didn't want to go through all that, right? But when it comes to birds, they are very, very fast when they fly around. This guy can strike super, super fast to catch birds mid-flight. With this camouflage, it looks just like a tree branch hanging out over top of the Amazon forest, right? Now, with all that being said, these guys still are in no danger because even if this is a constrictor, snakes do not need to break their jaw or dislocate their jaw in order to eat. If you take two fingers and touch on either side of your jaw and on the up and on the down, I did that backwards, all right, sorry. But when you touch right there on a snake, it's essentially like rubber bands. They're able to stretch their mouth around their food, and if we were able to do it like this snake could, we'd be able to open our mouths all the way down to about our belly button. Now, like I said, he's not going to be able to eat one of these guys wholesale, but we can always start off with the head, which we're going to see in 3. I'm just kidding, we're not going to do that, all right? But boa constrictors are very, very commonly kept as pets. They're super, super awesome animals, they're super sweet animals. And one final thing I'll tell you guys about them is this animal does not lay eggs. You guys familiar with rattlesnakes? Rattlesnakes also do not lay any eggs, all right? There are a lot of lizards and a lot of snakes out there that actually give birth to live young. Everybody give a hand for these guys real quick. Right on. Now, Maggie's going to go around, but there's a lot of snakes and a lot of lizards that actually give birth to live young. In fact, that blue-tongued snake actually gives birth as well, which is super, super unique. It's a really, really cool thing to actually see. It's a little bit gross at the same time, but that's the miracle of life, am I right? Now, as Matthew's going around, you see that she is really, really big, she's really, really stocky, and once they get to be this size, which if she fully stretches out, she's over 9 foot long, she's a big, big lady, right? They do get a little bit lazier in the climb, and she was actually given to us at the Alligator Encounter. From a family, she grew up around a bunch of kiddos and stuff like that, so she just had a real easy life. But, everybody say bye-bye, Gloria. Alright, everybody say bye-bye, Gloria. Alrighty. Now, for this next guy right here, let me see here. Sunglasses all the way in the back. I'm going to have you come on up here real quick for me. You're going to stand right in the same spot. Alright, alright. He's wearing an eyeline, man. He's real tech, alright? So, alright, what's your name real quick? Bill. Bill? Everybody give it up for Bill. And this one we are really going to set up with a blind date. You don't have a spouse or anything out there? Nope. Okay, good. All right, fantastic. So we are going to put it to the test just a little bit if he does have a relationship currently. If not, this could be the next. All right. But this girl's going to come out and she's actually going to give him a nice big kiss on the cheek. She's a little bit more forward than the last one. All right. But with that being said, I am actually going to have you take your sunglasses off. Just because these guys need to keep you accountable, make sure your eyes are staying closed. All right? Yeah, so you're going to keep your eyes closed just like the last guy. Do not tell them what's about to come out of the box. All right? Are you all ready to see her? No! All right. She's going to come out and give you a nice kiss on the cheek real quick. So that is Miss Penny. Everybody say hello, Penny. And Penny is a beautiful young lady from South America, just like that boa constrictor. Now, when it comes to Penny, Penny is a larger species of lizard. She is not done growing just yet. Red tegus, which is what she is, can get upwards of 3 to 4 and sometimes up to 5 foot long, right? Now, with this animal coming from South America, it kind of fills a role that we have an animal for up here. You guys know what a raccoon is? Where do you usually find a raccoon? In the trash. These guys are omnivorous just like a raccoon. Down in South America, you can find them inside of city trash bins, dumpsters, and sometimes breaking into people's homes if they left their chicken nuggets on the counter, all right? I actually have a real story about one of my friends that had to deal with that. I'm not even joking, all right? These guys will eat anything that can fit inside their mouths. And you see those cute little cheeks she's got on either side of her head? They will get bigger as she gets bigger. You just want to squeeze them and give her a little kiss on her cheeks, right? However, that is not little cute fat cheeks. That is all muscle, right? They have an incredibly strong bite. I always want to tell them this after we get it away from the face, right? They have an incredibly strong bite because they can crush down on snails, crawfish, seeds, nuts, really tough skin fruits like plantains, mangoes, papayas, all the rest of that fun stuff. They have an incredibly strong bite, but not just the strength of that bite, it is also the razor sharp teeth inside of that animal's mouth, right? They have incredibly sharp teeth. Once again, wait until it was away from his face to go over all this, right? They have incredibly sharp teeth. Give it up for Bill one last time. And one really cool thing about this animal is, you guys remember that blue-tongued skink we had out? This is one of its closest relatives. Right? Now, when it comes to skinks and other animals from Australia and from South America, has anybody ever heard about Pangea? Love Pangea, all right? If all of the continents were back together just like a big old puzzle piece, South America and Australia would be right next to each other, which is why a lot of animals in South America and Australia are super closely related to each other. In fact, there's only one type of spider you can find two places in the entire world. One is in Chile, and the other one is in Tasmania. That is the only place you can find these guys because they used to live literally right on top of each other. And just like with that blue-tongued skink, Miss Penny here, if she ever feels any sort of way, like she might be trying to get eaten or something like that, she can indeed break her tail off, and it'll flop around and be really gross, and be really bloody as well. You guys ready? You're in the splash zone, right? All right. Now, at the end of the day, this animal, she's about to go back up, but she will get a lot bigger, like I said. If you guys ever wanted to get into reptiles, keep lizards, keep snakes, or anything like that, make sure, please, from the bottom of my heart, I'm begging you, do all the research you possibly can. Because like I said, she's going to start off like this big and really cute, a little bit feisty, and then she can get up to about 4 to 5 foot long. Very quickly. She's only one a year. She's going to be 2 in August, so she is not even fully 2 just yet. All right, we're going to put her back up. Everybody say bye-bye, Penny. Now, we've got 2 final animals that we're about to bring out. However, before we do that, I got to go over some things with you guys. You ready? This is about to get real interactive real quick. You didn't think it was interactive before, it's about to get way more interactive. So, take your hands like this, and do this. Say alligator. Now go boom, crocodile. Alrighty. Alligators have that broad, wide, U-shaped snout, right? Crocodiles, on the other hand, they've got that pointy or V-shaped snout. Now, everybody take your hands just like this and put them together and say crocodile. Now, put one hand in front of the other and say alligator. Alligators have a bigger top jaw than they have a bottom jaw. So that way, when an alligator closes its mouth, you should only see teeth hanging down from the top, none coming back up. We got a couple other parts there. Yeah. But when it comes to crocodiles, their teeth intersect just like this because their top jaw and bottom jaw are the exact same length, right? Think about an alligator kind of like a sledgehammer. They're built to crush things that are small themselves. Think turtles, frogs, snakes, opossums, much smaller alligators, and the neighbor shortfish, stuff like that. When it comes to crocodiles, on the other hand, crocodiles are built more like a pair of scissors. When they clamp down on something and drag it into the water, they perform that awesome death roll. They're able to actually tear off chunks just like a pair of scissors to swallow those chunks down whole, because neither alligators nor crocodiles actually chew their food. They crush their food up and swallow it down whole. But we are going to bring out the first animal out of this box, and then I'm going to take a vote to see what you guys think it is. Are you all ready? Everybody retain all that information? Alligator, crocodile review real quick. We're going to go through the review real quick. All right. But we also have to show you guys something that we do. This is called making the animals safe. All right? Insurance. Yeah. All right. So raise your hand if you think this is an alligator. Raise your hand if you think this is a crocodile. Raise your hand if you think this is a caiman, Temistoma, Dario. All right. So raise your hand once again for alligator. You guys are wrong. This is a crocodile. Everybody say Nile crocodile. Now, with a name like Nile crocodile, what area does this animal come from? The Nile, right? However, these guys are found all through about Central Africa, down into South Africa, to Eastern Africa, and onto Madagascar. Do you see that beautiful yellow color that this animal has all over its side? This is a color you're only going to find in Eastern Africa all the way over to Madagascar. They do come in different colors depending on where you'll actually find them inside of Africa. The more north and central you get, the more gray and brown you get. The more southern you get, the more white they get. And then the more east, the more yellow, right? Now, at the Crocodile Encounter, like I said, we have about 130 of these guys. The majority of them being about this big, and not just a tiny bit bigger. But as they grow, this right here is a girl. There we go. Aww. Now, do you guys know how we know it's a girl? We asked her. No, I'm just kidding. Are you guys familiar with Jurassic Park? Right? Best movie, I think, of all time, Jurassic Park #1. Remember when Henry Roos, he's in the laboratory and he's talking about how they make sure they're all females, right? So they have to go into each embryo, just like we do, and actually change the genes to make sure it's a female. I'm just kidding, no, it's all temperature based, right? About 86 to 89 degrees Fahrenheit will produce all girls if they're inside the egg. Any warmer is all boys, and any cooler is all boys. It's kind of like Goldilocks zone, not too hot, not too cold, it is just right. Now, with her being a girl, you can expect her to get upwards of about 10 to 12 foot long. The biggest of them have been 14 foot long, and about, you're looking around 800 pounds, right? And that's a really, really, really big female, right? However, as the boys go, these boys get a lot bigger. Nile crocodiles are the largest, the heaviest body, but only the second longest species of crocodile on the planet. Fully grown, they can get 16 to 20 feet long. You see how tall I am? This is how wide their body can get. Just wide, not circumference, right? They get super, super heavy. And these guys hunt everything inside of their native range. Think about zebras, think about gazelles, and like I said, lost tourists, because this is the single most deadly species of crocodile on the planet when it comes to interactions with humans. Every year they claim around 300 to 500 human lives, and they will injure up to 1,000. But I've got great news. First piece of great news is that this animal is not hunting people on purpose. Great news, right? As this animal gets a lot bigger, she's going to get a lot of different colors on her top because she wants to look like the top of the water from the top and on the bottom. She sits and waits at the water's edge for a large land-based mammal to come down to the water to drink it or to cross it. Guess what we are, right? It just so happens that we end up there, right? However, the other thing about her is, you guys ready? She's not even the most dangerous animal in the Nile River. You may know the most dangerous animal in the Nile River? Hippo, yes, hippopotamus are the most dangerous animals inside the Nile River. You might say, I saw them eating like watermelons on Facebook and stuff, right? They do eat watermelons, they do not eat people, they just do it for the love of the game at the end of the day, all right? But we're gonna go ahead and put him back up. Everybody say, in a wild crocodile. Now with that being said, what kind is this guy? This is the alligator, right? More specifically, this is the American alligator. And with a name like American alligator, where do you think you can find them? America, right? It's pretty much a big old square. You can find them all the way from Texas up to Oklahoma, over to the Carolinas, and down into southern Florida. And in southern Florida, that is the only place on the planet you will ever find wild alligators and wild crocodiles naturally coexisting, because we do get an American crocodile that lives in Florida, not the American alligator, right? However, when it comes to this guy, this is the only species of crocodilian that is native to the state of Texas. If you find a crocodile out in the wild, call somebody, because it is not supposed to be here. That is someone else's, right? Now, at the end of the day, the American alligator gets really, really big. So we must be on the dinner plate, right? We are not, all right? American alligators, as a fully grown male, can get 12 to 14 foot long, with the longest ones exceeding 16 feet in length, and the heaviest ones being over 1,000 pounds. These are very, very big animals when they're done growing, right? However, as females, around 5 to 8 foot long, and you're really pushing around that 300 to 400 pound mark, right? So, with that being said, we went over the difference in the face shape and with the teeth. The reason I bring up the teeth so much is because the sledgehammer of the American alligator is built to eat things about the same size as its head. It is not built to rip and tear like a crocodile is, right? With that being said, there's a couple of things I'm going to tell you guys to keep you safe if you ever find yourselves around an American alligator out in the wild. Are you all ready? All right. Everybody say rule number 1. Rule number 1, never feed a wild alligator. It's that simple. All right? In the state of Texas, it is also a misdemeanor to be caught feeding a wild American alligator. And if you are caught in possession of one of them as a pet, major quotations around that, all right? As a pet, you can spend some time in jail. So it is a very, very serious crime, right? The reason it's so serious is because you take an animal that is not dangerous to humans. This animal has a natural fear of people. You take it and you turn it into a very dangerous animal. That's when they're going to start to approach people, and that's when a bite force of up to 3,000 pounds per square inch of jaw pressure can become someone's really, really bad day, right? Because even though you're the one going out and feeding them, someone else coming down to the water to fish or to swim or anything like that, it does not know the difference between y'all, all right? Everybody say rule number 2. Always got to stay away from mom and babies, all right? Kids, you guys are ever out wandering around town with your parents, and someone comes up and starts bothering you, what's your mom going to do? Right? Give the old 1, 2, and maybe the 3, 4, right? Because we are in Texas, all right? Now, with that being said, picture your mom being 5 to 8 feet long, weighing up to 300 to 400 pounds, with a bite force of up to 3,000 pounds per square inch. That can run 15 miles an hour. That's suddenly a lot more of a scary mom. Now, with that being said, we're going to bring that into rule number 3. Rule number 3 is always, always, always give them space, all right? This is a sprinter, this is not a marathon run, all right? When it comes to the space you want to give them from about me to where that white Corvette is out there, that's about as far as close as you want to get to an American alligator out in the wild. Because first up, you don't know if it's got a beautiful wife nearby, you don't know if it's got a handsome husband nearby, you don't know if it's got some wonderful babies nearby, all right? As long as you give them space, and you also don't know if somebody's fed them, as long as you give them space, you will always stay safe. Now, I'm not originally from Texas, I'm actually originally from a place called, it's a fake place, it's called Canada. Has anybody heard of it? It's not real, all right? But when I grew up in Canada, we used to run into these things called moose. Anybody know what a moose is? Raise your hand if you're scared of moose. If you put your hand down, you're wrong. All right? Moose at the shoulder can get this tall. They grow swords out of their head once a year, and they can run 35 miles an hour. Guess who can't run 35 miles an hour? Guess who also couldn't? All the slower friends I brought with me into the woods. So anytime you might find yourselves around a dangerous wild animal, just bring a slower friend or a family member. You can always make more, all right? But I want to thank you guys so much for paying attention, listening, hanging out with me. At the end of the show, you guys can line up down the center because we are doing pictures with the American alligator. It is going to be $10 a person if you guys did want to do that. We have Venmo, Cash App, and it is going to be on cash as well. But thank you guys so much. We'll see you later, alligator.